If somebody can't come up with a reason to follow you better than do because I say, it's actually like anti-leadership.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jeff Heilman Project. We're praying and hoping you guys had an awesome Halloween and into October. We're now entered into November. By now, the candy's all gone and the kids are thoroughly. So before we get on topic, a little off topic, having so many kids, I used to let them they'd go trick-or-treating. We live in this, it's epic in where we live.
It is.
Of Halloween. And like literally
our Halloweens are better.
The neighborhood, they have, they bus people in. The neighbors have to get like thousands of pieces of candy for each house. It's crazy. I know that our kids have come home with
it's literally wall-to-wall kids in the streets.
I think one year Washington weighed his bag and it was 10 pounds of candy.
I believe it.
So needless to say, I usually get the
start early, stay late.
I give them 3 days. They all would get 3 days with their bag, and then after 3 days, the communal bowl comes out, and it all goes into one.
Dad likes the communal bowl.
Just because a couple days you pull out, if you haven't pulled out all your favorites in the first 2 days, then you're doing something wrong, because you can't have 7 kids and 70 pounds of candy after trick-or-treating and not figure out some system of, come on, let's bring this together. So anyways, that's always fun. It's just a fun, we're believers, and I like to say we don't celebrate Halloween, we participate in Halloween. And so as participants, we bring the light wherever we go, and the darkness comprehends at night, not. But we're going to be talking today on today's podcast about leadership and really, what makes a great leader? Can you become a leader? What are our thoughts on leadership? And we've actually done quite extensive studies in the area of leadership. I've just always been drawn to John C. Maxwell, who is like his magnum opuses, multiple opuses on leadership. The 21 laws of leadership, leaders, he's just known in the community for what Dave Ramsey did for some finance. 30 years ago, John Maxwell did for leadership. And so he's always been a person who we look up to. And who else besides John Maxwell would you hold in the camp of specifically leadership-based training?
When I think of leadership, I think of John Maxwell, and likewise vice versa. And then who's next, right? And then it becomes contextual. Leadership within the focus of business, within the focus of mental health, within the when I think about topical, if you think about leadership, John Maxwell is kind of the Bible on leadership. Yeah. And then you think about topical studies, like the work that the gal, I'm trying to think, she was with Washington, she owned the Washington Post for a long time. I can see her face. She's Greek. She's from Washington, but she has a business called Thrive.
It'll come to you.
Andrew can put a link to it. She has a business called Thrive, and she has pivoted away from the corporate life into also running a corporation. But this one's really about leadership in the area of wholeness, in being a whole, well-rounded person. Ralph Lauren could be considered a leader from a design perspective. He is a designer, but he's also Martha Stewart is a leader within the realm of business and multifaceted,
home
multi-threaded,
economics, or whatever you want to call it,
multimedia. Right. There are leaders in areas of finance like Warren Buffett. There are leaders in technology like Steve Jobs, Bezos, Mark Andreessen, Elon Musk. These are people who are there's people in leadership in politics like JFK and Lincoln.
Obama was a huge leader.
Many people consider Obama a great leader in that respect as well. And then you have military leaders. So leadership is, first of all, I would say I don't know, because I don't know that I am a great leader, but I can guess. I can tell you what I think. I can tell you what the disciplines are. And when I think about that statement, what it takes to become a great leader, I think of the leadership ladder that John Maxwell talks about. There's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. The first level of leadership that John Maxwell talks about in this very simple to understand model is based on position, right? It says people follow you because they have to. The boss says, time to come back from lunch or whatever, and you have to clock in. But that's not somebody that you would say hi to across the street on a day off, right? You wouldn't necessarily go out of your way to even associate with that person if they're very command and control. This is the lowest form of leadership, is based on title. And what's amazing is sometimes people with the biggest titles never achieve anything beyond the lowest level of leadership, which says, do as I say because I said so. And obviously that's just somebody who's just getting started in leadership, even if they have a bigger title and they've been promoted a bunch, because they don't understand influence, which is the actual KPI for leadership, is how much influence do you have in someone's life. And there's people who have had no title whatsoever and have had a tremendous amount of influence in my life. And there's other people who've had big titles and no influence relatively. So, but positional leadership says, I follow you because I have to. It's based on title. The next level of leadership above that, according to John Maxwell, and I think this model kind of makes it simple to understand, is friendship. And that says, I follow you because I like you. You're interesting to me. You have my best interest at heart. I hopefully have yours, right? And we reciprocate based on the person itself versus anything necessarily having to do with work. And those are what most people live in, those two levels. Once we start investing in self and we start seeing the compounding of personally developing your skills and your understanding, your leadership ability, your influence, your situational fluency, your ability to understand aspects of a job or of a role on a team if you're playing softball or something, then we move into performance. Performance has to do with what are you contributing to the organization that might be more than some people might say. And I can tell you, I've been fortunate through lots of practice, incredibly hard work, some good luck, and some good opportunities in my career. I've been fortunate to be a top performing rep in business, both as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a head of sales, and as an individual contributor as a sales rep in the area of performance. And it's amazing to see that I'm, doing the same job this year that I did last year, same job last year that I did the year before, but I've gotten better at it. I produced more. And I went to a conference a couple of days ago, and I was the guy that people wanted to meet at that conference. Now, it was a small conference. There were not that many people there. And I did not know that anybody had told anybody that I was going to be there. I was not self-promoting myself. I wasn't speaking. I wasn't asked to participate in leadership at the conference. But I got there and everybody wanted to get to know me because I was a performer for a company that I'm involved with. And so that feels good when you enter into that level of performance. You're doing something for the organization. People reciprocate through respect, and they tend to look up to you and want to know what you know, want to know what you think. A lot of times there's validation language going on, and it's nice. It's really good. And also you have influence in that you have some weight in an organization where you're doing well. But that is not the top level of performance. Hey, look at me. Look at what I did for the org. Follow me because I'm awesome. That can get a little old. So there's another level of leadership above that, level 4, with investment in other people. And what have you done from the organization is performance. And what have you done for me personally? What have you done to invest in me as a human being? And I can tell you, there have been a handful, all of a sudden, from people that have done really well for themselves by serving the organization and performing, to people who have done really well at helping me grow as a person. All of a sudden, the nozzle gets really, really thin really fast. And I can tell you that there are about a dozen guys in my life who have made major contributions from their personal development and personal growth, which has then become my personal development and my personal growth at their expense and investment.
Everything that I've ever studied on leadership and around leadership, it all has a common denominator, and that leaders are listeners. And I was reading a story in Viktor Frankl's book, Say Yes to Life, or it's like Yes to Life is the name of the book. And he talks about in the late 1800s, a ship that was going, it was in France, and this ship had prisoners on it because there was an island that they had their prisoners, they had their prison. And there was a man that was going to serve his life sentence out on the island. And so there's this whole ship of all these prisoners, and they're just, the guards and everybody getting them to the island. And then a storm comes, and the boat is taking on water and they're sinking. And this one man, he gets out of his shackles because, they're all going to die because of the storm and stuff. And in the panic, he remains calm. This prisoner remains calm and ends up saving a bunch of lives. Now he's going off to prison to serve out a life sentence for something that was, for whatever, he didn't mention what it was that he was getting sent out there for. But as it turns out, he ends up getting a full pardon because of the work that he had done and the help that he had proven to release all of these people and get these people to safety, even though he himself had a prison sentence. And that makes me just think about the fact that, number one, as a leader, he was a listener. What's going on? The ship's going down. I'm paying attention. I'm seeing people that are hurting around me, and I'm going to become activated immediately to see a need and fill a need, regardless of circumstance. And I'm not just going to go out and try to save myself. I'm gonna see what I can do to bring others with me. And leaders are so in tune to being able to listen and be aware of their surroundings, and then bring others with them. And I really do think that that's like the signature how to be a great leader. If you're going to be a great leader, it's you're going to be a listener, and you're going to recognize what's happening around you and bring others with you. Whatever you can do, however many people you can grab at once. The leader is the one that when chaos hits, it's not just save myself, it's save everybody. Let's save the ship. Like, how can we save the ship, SOS, save our ship, right? And being that person that's going to do whatever they can do. But they first of all have to be a listener and see what's going on and what's really happening in time, which is why it's so important. We've talked many times on this podcast about being present and about being able to relieve yourself of the worry, the fear, the stress, the anxiety, all of those things that could penetrate and get in the way of being present. Because if you're really going to lead and if you're going to save your ship and you're going to bring others with you, you've got to be able to be in the moment, at that moment and in that present time. And so I just really liked that story about the fact that, he did get a reward. He wasn't doing it for the reward. He was being a leader. And as a leader, he was going to save that ship and as many people as he possibly could along the way, regardless of his own personal circumstances.
Level 1 is position. I follow you because I have to. You have a title over me, which is just the worst. If somebody can't come up with a reason to follow you better than do because I say, it's actually like anti-leadership. It's almost like a magnet that pushes people away from you. Second level of leadership being friendship. I follow you because I like you. Third being performance. I follow you because of what you've done for the organization. Fourth being personhood. Like, I follow you because of what you've done for me as a person. You've helped me grow. You have helped me grow.
Oh, thanks.
As a person. You have invested in me, and I've invested in you, and we've invested in our kids and books. But there's another level of leadership above that. And that's where you have influence that transcends somebody thinking you're a good person or so-and-so having heard of you. It's where your reputation precedes. Like, I've never met Larry Ellison, but I would follow him. Larry Ellison has not done anything for me personally that I know of, other than he built a great company that I worked for 4 years. Kevin Ackroyd is in that same caliber, even though I know Kevin really well. Because of what he is, because of what he represents, I left working at Oracle to go work for Kevin Ackroyd because he's a level 5 leader, because he's invested in me, because he's made himself available. And we've had dozens and dozens of conversations before I ever went to work for him, dinners, time together. I've made different decisions in my career path because of his leadership, because of who he is and what he represents. Same thing with Rohit Kshetrapal, same thing with Dave Eggers, same thing with Christopher Johnson. These are men who operate at the upper stratosphere of society, and many of them are worth hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. And I follow them because who they are and what they represent. And if you go back to Jim Collins in the Why the Mighty Fall, Built to Last, Good to Great, those series, the most unanticipated finding from Jim Collins's research, the thing that they really thought, that's hogwash, leadership really has nothing to do with it. What they found was, in fact, with all of the comparison companies that outperformed the other companies by, I think it was 3x better than the stock market over a sustained period of 15 years, which is, I mean, very few companies can say that. What they found, one of about 5 or 6 things that they had in common, was something that he called level 5 leadership. And it's a little bit of a different scale in level 5 leadership, but it was effectively a ferocious personal ambition channeled into extremely disciplined professional willpower and humility and gratitude.
Perfect cue as we wind down. Could you take that statement that you just made and apply it to, I think we're far enough along in generations. I think it's been long enough since the movie came out that people probably have not heard of it.
Finding Nemo?
Rudy Ruettiger.
Rudy
Could
Ruettiger.
you tell us the story of Rudy Ruettiger as we wind down this podcast? Because I think he exemplifies and epitomizes what you just talked about.
Hope I'm saying his last name right. I've actually seen him speak live. I saw him speak. He had ferocious professional ambition, personal ambition, focused through humility and professional will and self-discipline, to the point where, I mean, he probably should never have played football. He should just he's 5 feet tall, doesn't weigh anything, and was slow and he was not good. He was not a good football player. Even at the end, he wasn't good. But he did get to play a couple of plays, I think. Got to be included in the team because he found a way to make a contribution as a player anyway. The beautiful thing about the story is that he didn't let the physical limitations, of which there were many, keep him from making a contribution as a player. He wanted to be a player. He knew it. And Tony Robbins will tell you, right? He knew his outcome. He took massive action to make it happen. He changed his approach, and then he persisted until he got the result that he was looking for. And I think
at Notre Dame,
playing for the Fighting Irish.
And it's just a fantastic.
It's
you
a great
guys
movie.
Look it up.
Great soundtrack.
Sean Astin and it was oh gosh, what's his name? What's his name? Favreau. It was Favreau's. John Favreau was like one of his first movies.
I think it was his debut.
And to see this relentless discipline that, talented, and the beauty of it is you've got way better football players, you've got way better physical stature, and they saw that their lack of discipline, and they had everything. It's like being in the Garden of Eden, right? You got the whole garden in front of you and you fail. Like, you got everything and they failed, right? And so they're looking at this kid who's got nothing, but he was able to, in his weekend nothing state, lead an entire team and lead some of the most talented, most well-equipped men because of determination and discipline and just being able to be predictable. And I would venture to say that in addition to leaders being listeners, leaders are extremely predictable.
Actually, I did a talk on that in Texas. Spoke in front of a group of about 250 people on that very topic of being predictable. Because I think how to be a great leader, it starts with being predictable. Because when you're predictable, I went into detail on this, but effectively, when you're predictable, you develop trust. If you keep being predictable with trust, you develop friendship. If you keep being predictable with friendship, you develop love. If you keep being predictable with love, you develop loyalty. If you keep being predictable with people where you have loyalty, you start to develop a group think. You start to develop a unity, a unified mind. With that unified mind, you start developing, if you're predictable, you start developing expectation and hope. And if you keep being predictable in a group that has expectation and hope and unity, you start building really solid work habits. And activity comes as a direct result of that hope. If you're still predictable with people that have a regular exceeding work habit, you will start to build a sense of inevitability. And from that sense of inevitability, if you stay predictable, you will end up building a destiny. And I think that the one thing that all great leaders have in common is they have a sense of destiny. William Danforth, who founded that great company in the Midwest that does pet food, Purina, said, and I'm quoting Dave Severin, quoting William Danforth from the book I Dare You. He said, "Successful people are dreamers who have found a dream too exciting and too important to remain in the realm of fantasy, and who day by day, hour by hour, toil in the service of their dreams until they can see it with their eyes and touch it with their hands."
Thanks, everyone, for tuning into this Jeff Heilman project. The lead goose returns to the same spot in the same pond. Have an awesome rest of your week.
Thanks,
we'll
everybody.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.